Good afternoon. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum coming to you, and I'm very happy to be here on Santa Cruz Voice. And this is Your Body, Your Choice, Your Health, Your Choice. And I'm really happy to be here. And I want to just put out a thanks to Michael Olson to help me for the last couple weeks because I had some stuff going on that is unfortunate, but things happen and he was able to help me out. In fact, that's what I want to really focus on today is, what we actually, choices that we make in our life and how they can affect our health and what we can do about it. And as I had mentioned before, a very close friend of mine's son passed away about a month ago now, unexpected, 27 years old. And it impacted us dramatically. It still is impacting us. But the thing to take home away from this is, when do you actually decide it's time to help yourself? So many people just don't want to take the time. I don't know what it is. I see people come into my office and they have a condition. And when we go over that we can help them, sometimes they choose not to get the help. Sometimes I think I can see in their eyes that they don't think that they want to put that they're worth it, that put the money into it or take it away from the family or put the time into it. And it's really a sad thing because there's so much that can be done to help your health. And I just look back at, we all have had situations where if we would have done something a little differently, perhaps the world would have been a better place for us and those that we care and love. So my show today is really on help and on that you can be helped and that you are worth it. Um, I had a patient, this is, again, my name is Dr. Duncan McCollum. Some of you are new to my show and I'm new to Santa Cruz Voice as well. But I'm a chiropractor. I've been in practice in Santa Cruz for over 35 years. And I'm currently in Capitola in the Brown Ranch shopping mall there by where Bed Bath and Beyond used to be. Trader Joe's is there and FedEx. And, you know, so many times people come into my office and they have a condition. Oftentimes we're the last hope. They've tried everything, traditional medicine, various other alternative medicines, and they haven't got results. And we try to give them hope. We have a lot of really cool stuff in our office. We have the stem cell machine, the soft wave therapy machine. I had number 200 in the country, and it actually helps draw your stem cells to the area that we apply it to. This is great for ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, low backs, upper backs, elbows, things like that that have been either injured or chronically a problem. And when I first got my machine, there were less than 200 in the country, and I had a shoulder injury that was so bad I couldn't even lift my right arm off of my side. I had to use my other hand to do it. And I had tried pretty much everything. I'd gone to different chiropractors. I'd had PRP, platelet-rich plasma, injected into it. I tried so many things, and I was very, very frustrated. And about that time, my friend, who was a chiropractor and still is, his son was at a lake in Utah and he jumped off about a 60-foot cliff and missed the water and hit the rocks, shattering both ankles and three vertebrae in his mid back, his thoracic spine. And it was a very terrible incident. Thank God there was a boat close by to get him out of the water. But um, the situation was that the exam, the x-rays, the MRIs and everything showed these shattered vertebrae, and they told my friend that his son had to have a steel cage put around his spine to protect it. And for anybody, that's devastating. But for a chiropractor, it's also devastating. I can't say it's worse, but we always think the body has the ability to heal itself. And anytime we have to do an intervention like that, we would rather let the body heal if possible. And bodies are amazing. The greatest physician who ever lives has lived, lives inside of you. And So as they were considering doing this, and Dr. Dan, he deals in cellular inflammation. His son was versed in it. His son decided to fast because he wanted to keep the inflammation out of the area. But this guy, Dr. DeDuro, showed up from Georgia to Park City where they were with this machine called the soft wave therapy machine. And he started to do this therapy on Dan Jr. And within 4 weeks, he was walking. And that was unbelievable. No surgery, no steel cage. And within 6 weeks, he was on his way to Europe with a backpack. Unbelievable. But when you're 20, you heal a little better. But this was remarkable. So I watched this going on. And quite honestly, before he was on his trip, I was out there and I had a treatment on my shoulder. And in one treatment, I could raise my arm 40%, 40 degrees, which was amazing because I couldn't even lift it. And then another treatment, I could lift it 80 degrees. So I wasn't going to keep going out of town to get treatment. I bought one. I bought number 200 in the country. Its number is the 403, like the old train engine. And it's been remarkable. So we have been able to help people that have never been able to get this kind of stem cell rejuvenation into the joint with this so much ease. And that's what it does. It pulls stem cells out of different parts of your body. You have them floating around in your long bone and in your blood, and it directs them to the area of application. And those stem cells can become any part of the body. So a stem cell is essentially an egg and a sperm come together. That's the original stem cell. You have one cell. And then by the time you're a grown up, you have 75 trillion cells, each cell doing 60 million things a minute, all controlled by the brain and nervous system. And so anyway, this machine would draw the stem cells to the area, and not only does it do that so the body can repair, but it pushes out inflammation and stagnant inflammation that will cause the nerves to flare and fire, causing pain. And then the third thing it does is it causes something called angiogenesis. So genesis, of course, means new, and angio means capillary. So it builds new capillaries. So this machine was a miracle. It changed me. It got me back adjusting. Thank God I did have another doctor there at the time. But it was amazing. We've done over 10,000 of those treatments since I got my machine back in 2019 or 2018. And it's still continuing to do miracles. So the reason I bring this up is, and along with this subject of people who are suffering out there and have given up hope, perhaps sometimes all hope, and they're just letting the body continue to decay, there are things that you can do and things that can be done about it. Um, I we have a $49 special on this stem cell machine if anybody wants to try it. It's we're doing acupuncture meridians on the hand, and then we're going to go to the area of complaint. That's your low back, your feet, if you have peripheral neuropathy, your knees, ankles, shoulders, whatever it is. We'll sit down and talk to you and go, yeah, this thing looks like it can help, and then do a treatment and then have you back. Now, in that, it's a complimentary consultation. I'll usually take an x-ray of the area complaint because I want to make sure that I know what we're working at. And if it does help you, be able to give you an idea of what that looks like long term. And that's all for $49. We do this because nobody has this machine and it makes such a huge difference in people's lives that I want to make it available to the Santa Cruz community. So I'm going to talk about a particular patient, which is one reason that I'm talking about this today. She had been come into the office a couple of years ago, and she was actually complaining of something called peripheral neuropathy. She didn't know that's what it was called, but she was having numbness and tingling in her feet to a point where she didn't always know where they were. She had a hard time differentiating between the gas and foot and brake with her feet. So she didn't like driving. It was hard walking on uneven surfaces. She felt like she had some bunched up socks in her shoe all the time, or saran wrap around her foot, numbness, tingling, and it was difficult putting a blanket on her feet at night. So she came in and we did an assessment of her about a year and a half ago. And we found that she did have this, and we did made some recommendations, and she did a little bit of what we recommended, and it kind of put a Band-Aid on it. But then a few weeks ago, she came back, and it'd been probably over a year since we saw her, and her condition had progressed. The amount of neuropathy, the sensory nerves had decayed more. And when we talked about it, I explained how we can heal that part, how we can heal those nerves, and showed a bunch of success stories in the office of several patients that have gone through the program. And I just said, look, this will not get better on its own. If it did, it would have in the last year and a half. It's only progressed almost 50% worse than when you were here last time. And this happens often. I mean, so many times people come in, they get an assessment, especially with things like peripheral neuropathy. The traditional wait and see medicine is to drug it somehow with some off-label medication, oftentimes used for epilepsy. And it does dull those senses, or it makes those symptoms worse. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really fix anything. So those nerves begin to decay or die more and more and more. Now, what happens is the blood vessel supply to the peripheral nerves in the feet, those blood vessels, the little teeny capillaries, start to close up. So blood can't get to them. So you don't get the oxygen or nutrients to those nerves at the tips of your toes or fingers. And the tissue starts to die, just like a plant in your yard that isn't getting water or nutrients, it will start to die. And oftentimes if you catch that plant or house plant, in time and give it a little bit of water, it just springs back to life. Well, your body will too. It may not spring back depending on how far you let it get before we work on it, but it will come back. And we've seen this with hundreds of people, and we've helped with this program. And there's thrown a Band-Aid on it, or there is, let's get her done. And this is the type of thing, in my opinion, because this is a limiting factor to your freedom. When you lose your ability to drive or walk or balance or walk on uneven surfaces, with Santa Cruz is all about that, with beaches and mountains and sidewalks with roots pushing up the cement, you need to have as much balance as possible. So anyway, we're actually doing a workshop at my office on the 23rd and 24th of this month. The 23rd is Wednesday. It's a 12 o'clock meeting. Thursday, it's a 6 o'clock meeting. So if you're better coming in the evening, you may want to come to the 6 o'clock one. If you're better coming at the lunch meeting, then come Wednesday. And our office is McCollum Chiropractic, right in the heart of Capitola, right in the Brown Ranch Shopping Center next to FedEx, the Bunt Cake, and the nail place. And our number is 831-459-9990. So please call and make a reservation, because they fill up pretty quickly. And we do want to make sure we have a seat for you and something to nibble on. But that will at least give you enough information to decide whether or not you may be afflicted with this thing called peripheral neuropathy. And if so, give you some ideas of what you can do to help it. So it's not a wait and see condition. Wait and see medicine is put a drug on it and wait and see if that helps. And with this type of thing, it never gets better on its own. You have to do the physical things to get it better. And there are several things that we do with biofeedback, laser therapy, the soft wave therapy, vibration plate, something called PEMF, a lot of different things, and nutrition. Because remember, those nerves at the end of your toes, they need nutrients. They need oxygen and nutrients. And we are in such a toxic time of our society that the amount of toxins in our blood versus the nutrients necessary for our blood cells to survive oftentimes is not in the ideal quantity. And not only that, but when you lose the blood supply to your toes or your fingers because those blood vessels have clogged up, like with diabetes, which is the number one cause of peripheral neuropathy, and 60% of the population are diabetic or pre-diabetic. That's one of the worst scenarios. But it's not, there's also so many other things, chemical exposure, glyphosate, forever chemicals, the toxins in our food industries that you've been involved in. There's some hereditary points to it. Um, most of us have had mercury in our body. People my age come from the lead generation. There's aluminum falling out of the sky from the airplane fuel. They're using it more now, and the the contamination is higher and higher and higher. So all these things add up to how healthy the cells are. You have 75 trillion cells in your body, and they all have a cell wall, and nutrients have to get through that cell wall, including fuel like glucose or something called ketones, has to get through those 75 trillion cell walls so that the cell can function. And then the cell uses that for energy and survival and spits out exhaust that has to get out of the cell, then into the bloodstream, then out of the body, or into the lymphatics and out of the body. But if you have poor circulation in your feet or your hands or even the organs in your body, then it's not going to be a clean running machine. You're going to start getting, it's like a car with an exhaust leak. You're cruising down the road, but you have a hose in the exhaust pipe coming into the cab of the car. Those fumes are going to kill you. And when your body's not running efficiently, those fumes are going to kill you. And they start by damaging the cells, the nerve cells, and then the tissue cells, the skin, muscle, ligaments, tendons, bone. So all of that stuff stays healthy based on, healthy nutrients in your body and a clean, efficient running body. So at any rate, when this person came back in, we talked about what was going on with her, different aspects of the health, and she finally decided the other week to go ahead and take a dive and get her body healthy. And it's the greatest thing in the world for us to see people make a choice and get an understanding that their body has the ability to heal itself. There's no outside um, substance other than the nutrients needed. There is no magic pill for this kind of stuff. And, the older we get, I just turned 69 recently. It seems like it's harder and harder, takes longer and longer for my body to recover from activities that I do. So that's another thing to be aware of. So anytime you go out and stress your body, you're burning up the muscles, you're breaking them down, you're breaking down the tissue, you're using the stored nutrients in your body, and then every single cell in your body has exhaust as a byproduct of life. That exhaust has to get out of your body, and that really the number one organ that helps with that is the liver. So the liver is going to filter everything out of the blood and dump it. It does either one of two things. It either puts it into your colon and attaches it to bile or oil. It's oil soluble, so it attaches to bile, or makes it water soluble, and it goes back into the bloodstream and is excreted out of your kidneys. So your kidneys take the water soluble toxins and dump it, that the liver's turned it into that. And then what it doesn't turn into water soluble, it has to go through the colon, and your uh, gallbladder will dump toxins, bile into the large intestine, help break down the fatty acids, or the fat into fatty acids so that you can use that for nutrients. Your body is, really so important to be taking good, healthy oils because those oils make up those cell walls. And since you have 75 trillion cells, you need a lot of good oils to keep those cell walls flexible. And the bad oils like canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, the polyunsaturated oils that we were told to eat when we were kids, those make very hard, crispy cell walls that cannot absorb nutrients very well. So then you have starved cells. Not only that, the nutrients that do get into the cell create exhaust that has a hard time getting out of the cell. So your quality of health gets worse and worse and worse based on your body's inability to feed itself well. So this is Dr. Duncan McCollum. I am going to take a short break and then I will be back here in a second. Okay, everybody, while this is playing on the Santa Cruz Voice, I'm just going to talk to you briefly about my office and the offer we're doing. Um, I'm so happy to be on the Santa Cruz Voice, and I've been on here for my fourth or fifth show now, and it's great to be able to reach out to the community. But if you're suffering from some kind of peripheral neuropathy, any kind of pain, digestive disorders, and you're tired of traditional medicine and you just want another opinion, we never charge to sit down and talk about what's going on with you. You can make an appointment, 831-459-9990, and call and say, I want to sit down with Dr. McCollum for a consultation. From that point, if we want to do a stem cell treatment or a laser treatment or decide that we need to do something else chiropractically, then we can discuss that at the time. And before we have any fee attached to it, we will discuss it so that you are safe. Don't feel like you're going to get, charged for something that you haven't agreed to yet. And I found that that's the best way because so many people have tried so many different types of medicine and spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars and not gotten the answers that they want. So by doing this way, people get a chance to just sit down with somebody and talk about their problems and see whether or not it can help. So this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, Santa Cruz Voice, and every Monday at 3 o'clock. And you can also go to santacruzvoice.com and listen to the replays of this. So at any rate, I'm going to get back to my show, and I'm very glad to have you all here. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I'm back. And it's very interesting to be talking on the radio because so many times I get phone calls from people that go, wow, thank you for that information. I didn't know what you were talking about. And I looked it up and found out that, wow, there is this thing called peripheral neuropathy. And maybe that is what's making my feet go numb and making it difficult for me to walk. It's bothering me on hikes. Or I feel like I'm losing my balance. Even standing at the kitchen table or the sink trying to cook is a problem. So those are the type of things that we can work with in my office. And we really have a great crew there. I have two amazing doctors, Dr. Richard Gringeri that just started with us. I've known him for 40 years, a fantastic, caring doctor. And then I also have Dr. Justin McLeod, who's also fantastic. So when we look at the nervous system and the spine, we have three doctors with lots of experience, probably over 100 years altogether between us, that we can take a look and know whether or not there's a natural solution within a margin of error. But the thing that is really plaguing so many people is the fact that they're having difficulty getting around. They're slowing down their mobility. They've taken a lot of different painkillers or anti-inflammatories that aren't even working anymore. And pretty soon what happens is you lose your sense of freedom and you just kind of limit your life based on what you think your body can do for you. And it's really kind of a sad thing because, life is worth living. And again, for those of you that joined late, a dear friend of mine's son passed away at 27 years old a month ago, a very close friend, and it's been very hard to deal with. And we never know when that moment will come. But on the same hand, I see so many people that don't have that fate, but they're suffering from inability to function correctly. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do about their health. Maybe they have gastrointestinal problems, brain fog, which is huge now, because of the toxins and the chronic inflammation that we have from the food we eat, the air we breathe, the toxins we've been exposed to all along. Our body is not as able to eliminate it as much as it does, and it causes this chronic inflammation throughout the body. And it causes actually the barrier between your bloodstream and your brain is called the blood-brain barrier. That will become inflamed with this chronic inflammation, and then you get toxic substances in your brain. And this is going to cause brain fog and turn on bad genes in your brain. Right now, we know that there's a tremendous amount of people being affected with memory loss, different kind of things like even Alzheimer's disease. There's 7 different genes that get turned on to potentially cause that. Brain fog is a very good warning sign that something's not right. And I think that so many people ignore these signs, thinking the 6 most common words I ever hear in my office are, I thought it would go away. I hear that all the time. And when it doesn't go away, they may wait too long to come in, and then it's much more difficult to help them. So I always recommend when symptoms are your friend, they're not something that you should try to hide or mask. You should take a look at them and then find somebody that can help you decipher why you have those symptoms. And especially with this thing called peripheral neuropathy, because this is a condition that just, it kind of slowly gets worse and then it goes up like a hockey stick. And then you have people unable to drive, and we've helped them get their ability back. Ambulation, going to walks on the beach where we live here, or going walking their dog in one of the park full of gopher holes there. You just don't feel stable, and you don't want that to be your fate. We've all grown up in my generation learning about our financial legacy. You work hard, go to school, get an education, work hard, put away for our future, only to find when we're in retirement age, which they keep raising, our health is gone. We can't go on the trips to Europe because we can't walk on cobblestone streets. Our balance is off. Um, maybe we have a chronic inflammatory condition affecting our digestion, or other organs aren't functioning so well. We're the sickest country in the industrialized world. There are 75 countries healthier than us. And we take more drugs than anybody. However, this is changing. There's a lot of stuff happening in Washington where they're going to try to eliminate the toxic foods out of our substances out of our foods, the dyes and the fillers. We know that red dye number 3 got outlawed. Red dye number 3, that's awesome. Everybody's cheering. However, they don't have to get it out of our food till January 15th, 2027. So even though we've known for over 20 years that it is a carcinogen, and that it's in all of our kids' foods and so many of our cereals, not anywhere else, only the United States. They don't allow it in Europe or across the border. So they finally said, okay, we're going to outlaw it, but you have till January 15th, 2027 to get it out of your food. So, you want to be aware of this, and you want to be just really taking a look at what you can put in your body that's healthy. What I tell my patients is when you go into a store, hopefully you're going to a health food store, usually you take a right and you go up that outside, and it's all the organic vegetables, and it is cheaper to eat organic. I'll explain why in a minute. Get your vegetables, go across the back, get your grass-fed organic meats, your free range eggs, your organic milk, A2 milk maybe even. then go down the backside and get whatever all the fresh stuff that they have there. Stay out of the center of the store. A friend of mine brought home a can of or a bottle of blue cheese dressing the other day, and she says, "Hey, I think this is good. It doesn't have canola oil in it." And I turned the back around, and there were probably 100 ingredients on this little teeny label that you couldn't read even with my big glasses on. And I looked at that, and there was soybean oil, so many different kind of food additives and flavors. And then, I found one the other day. What was it that I found? A mayonnaise, and it had like 5 ingredients, you know, didn't need all this other stuff. And so when you find labels in stores that have words you can't pronounce and you don't understand what the heck it means, put them down and run for the hills. So when you look at the chronic disease in our country, we're rated 47th or 49th in the world for health. We spend $4.7 trillion on healthcare in this country this year. It's 4.3 last year. 4.7 trillion. 70% of that is spent on managing symptoms. So managing symptoms means you have a condition that you're not healing, you're just managing the symptoms till that condition either gets worse or it kills you. So you think that eating organic, healthy food is expensive. I'm telling you, being sick with chronic disease is a lot more expensive. Now, a lot of times people come in and they have chronic disease or their blood work looks perfect, but they feel crappy. So many times they go, I went to the doctor, they took my blood work and they gave me something, and now my blood work's normal, but I still feel bad, especially with thyroid problems. So, and they go, well, I've been eating really well for 5 years. I haven't had sugar in 5 years. And I'm looking at this 75, 65-year-old person in my age bracket and go, what did you do for the first 50 years, 55 years? The accumulation of toxins in our body is amazing. Mercury, lead comes 4 generations down through mom's umbilical blood, as well as they've found 278 chemicals in the umbilical blood of American babies that haven't even lived outside the womb yet. So we don't even come into this life with a healthy body. It's already filled up with toxins. And you wonder why I think 30% of the children have chronic disease now, have autoinflammatory diseases, autoimmune diseases. When I was a kid, very few, maybe 5 or 7% of the kids would. And I see my friend Don on the watching us there. I know you were affected by some lead at an early age and you survived it, thank God. But so the thing is that we've really got to take an assessment of our health now. If you are suffering from something like peripheral neuropathy, or you don't know that you are, then call our office. We are doing a workshop Wednesday, the 23rd, and Thursday, the 24th. They're free. Wednesdays at lunch, Thursdays at dinner, 831-459-9990. And call and reserve a seat because, they usually fill up. We're going to go over lots of information for you in a very understandable way. And from there, you will have an idea whether this is something that you should look into or not further. And, if so, we'll explain that at the time. But some of the treatments that we do at my office that help turn around not just peripheral neuropathy, but joint pain, chronic low back pain, neck pain, all these types of things. One of the main things we have to do is deal with the inflammation, chronic inflammation. And the soft wave therapy machine, we have the stem cell machine, pushes the inflammation out, draws in your own stem cells to the area, and creates new blood vessel growth. We also have brought in these amazing lasers, Zirconia lasers, 21 studies approved by the FDA showing their efficacy. Basically, what the laser light does, there's green, lavender, and red. Just like sunlight hits your hand and creates vitamin D. These lasers hit your skin and turn the mitochondria into superpowered, charged energy generators. So if you've most people know what a mitochondria is now. It's the energy inside the cell. It's like the carburetor in your car. When you hit that with the lasers, it jumps an electron to a higher ring. Yeah, just like in high school. When that thing falls back down, it creates more energy, just like it creates chlorophyll in plants, vitamin D in your skin. So oftentimes we use the laser and the sound machine. So we're using light and sound to help people, which is pretty darn cool. We also, of course, we assess the spine chiropractically because so many people have had injuries. I fell out of a tree and broke my back jumping off of roofs at the school, elementary school, Don, with Chris and Tim. Um, but we just think, oh, that happened a long time ago. It couldn't possibly be affecting me, but it is. They don't go away. These injuries wear out body parts out quicker than the rest, and they can be very damaging. And when those nerves, and I'm wearing my tie today, just got off work, it's a Beatles tie. But if my tie is a nerve and I grab it and I choke it, that would be like a nerve coming out of my neck, going into my shoulder or down to my hands. Same nerve goes to my thyroid gland, my lungs, and my heart. There's only 31 nerves that come out of your spine and they go to 75 trillion cells. So if you have pressure on one of those nerves, it can affect your life and your health dramatically. It can cause all kinds of problems and symptoms. So then you can go take medications or herbs or supplements to cover up those symptoms, or you can stop doing the things that bring it on. Like, people say every time I walk, my back hurts. Well, then I tell them don't walk. It's the simplest solution. It's not a good solution, but we know that joke. Doc, it hurts when I do this. Don't do it. That's not a really good solution. You want to figure out what's stopping the body from working well and then rectifying that if possible. And that's what we specialize in. So I started the show really worth talking about people that so many people, and it's so sad, they just come into the office. I know we can help them. And I can see a look in their eye that they just don't feel like they should do it. They don't, whether it's not they don't want to spend their family's money on it, they just don't feel like they're worth spending the money on themselves. They don't trust that we can help them, which is understandable. Um, we always have success stories and other people they can talk to. They may not have the money, which is understandable as well. But the vast majority of them just don't think they can be healthy. And uh, the body is an amazing thing. The body has this innate intelligence and ability to heal itself. Hi, Karen. So we want to make sure that we're giving it all the chance we can to heal. And when we free up the nervous system, that's going to give your body the chance to heal. So your nerves that come out of your brain go down the center of your spine. They leave at 31 different areas of your spine and go to 75 trillion cells. That communication system is dependent on free nerve flow, no impingement from any kind of bone out of place or trauma or scar tissue in the spine or muscles entrapping those nerves so they can communicate back and forth. There's a huge chemical component, like in the brain, you have hormone, your hormone system, the pituitary gland. You probably heard about that. There's another gland above it that receives all the communication from your senses and knows exactly what the environment is looking like. And then it sends a signal to the pituitary gland that puts off a myriad of hormones into the bloodstream that instantaneous cause organs, muscles, or neurotransmitters to function. It's just cool. The body is so cool. The problem is when it breaks down, rather than unbreaking it, we end up patching it up. And the cool part about the body is when you remove the interference, the body can heal itself in most cases if you catch it in time. Now, if you're under medical intervention for some kind of chronic disease, then, obviously don't go off what the medical doctor is telling you to do. You can always ask them, is there anything I can do nutritionally in a holistic way to help with my medical procedure that you're doing with me? The medical doctors are so busy trying to handle this stuff. Sometimes they don't think, wow, yeah, some nutrients would be helpful with that. And maybe they have an understanding of where to send you or not, and if they don't, then you need to seek that out yourself. And of course, ask them if it's okay, because you don't want to, buck the system. But, what I find is when you treat a body well, removing interference, the body's got a really good chance of healing. There is no magic pill anymore. Those went away a long time ago. So it does take time and patience. And sometimes you're going to roller coast up and down a little bit because life is stressful. There's so much stress in the world right now. And that stress is causing your adrenal glands to put cortisol out into your system nonstop. People have trouble sleeping. That cortisol ends up um, causing inflammation in the body as well. And then those joints swell up, they become achy, because they're inflamed, they don't function as well, and the nerves get fired up. And then you end up with, whatever kind of health issue based on that body part. A lot of times the stress hormones can cause shoulders, knees, ankles, low backs to all become inflamed, and then you have problems functioning well that way. Also can affect your organs. Those chronic steroids which is the cortisol, can shut down your digestive functions to a great degree. And then, because you have the fight or flight mechanism and the rest and digest mechanism. So the fight or flight is the stress hormones. And then the rest and digest are the relaxing hormones. And it's like if you're driving a car, you have a gas pedal and a brake. The gas is the stress cortisol hormone, the sympathetic nervous system. The brake is the rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. You can't have your feet on both at the same time or have both going at the same time. So when we're under chronic stress, that gas is pedal to the metal, shutting down the rest and digest nervous system, or the parasympathetic. So we end up with digestive disorders because the digestive system is not at full tilt. When you stress when you stress an organ that can't function at 100%, you're going to wear it out. You're going to cause disease and various things like that. So this is Dr. Duncan McCollum. I'm on my new radio show, the Santa Cruz Voice. This is called Your Body or Your Health, Your Choice. And right here in the heart of Santa Cruz, I'm on every Monday from 3 to 4, and you can find us on santacruzvoice.com. And I really appreciate you letting other people know about it. You can also find all of my podcasts at McCollum Wellness Radio. That's any podcasts, as well as if you go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Duncan McCollum, I have over 200 videos on there on all kinds of different subjects of health. So if you catch me on here and you want to find more and you can't wait till next Monday, jump on and join, follow us on YouTube. That'd be awesome. Dr. Duncan McCollum. And we are McCollumWellness.com in Capitola. I am going to be doing a workshop on peripheral neuropathy coming up this Wednesday and Thursday, the 23rd and 24th. Wednesdays at 12:30, Thursdays at 6. There's no charge to come. We're going to talk about this thing that people aren't aware of called peripheral neuropathy, where it comes on so slowly you don't even know it's there. Then it hits like a baseball bat, and you have so many symptoms that you're unable to function correctly. We can save a lot of your issues with that. We can turn it back most of the time if you get to us quick enough and before it's too late. So we really try to help people with that. But by coming to the workshop, you'll know more about it and decide whether or not it's something you want to look further into. The workshop is no charge. It's 3555 Clare Street, Suite WW in the heart of Capitola, Brown Ranch, Marketplace. And you can call my office, 831-459-9990, and come. But please call and let us know you're coming, because we want to make sure we can fit everybody there. We need so many chairs. And we also have something you to munch on while you're there, healthy. So Santa Cruz Voice, it's been around for a couple of years, and it's a great group of people. I think there's over 40 hosts now that talk on so many different subjects. And I just hope that you are just keeping it going behind you. So as you're going on in your day, so you can hear the thoughts of all the different people and what they have to offer on this show. And so let's see, I guess my take home message really is there is no time like the present to do something about it, and something can be done about it. If you're putting off your health thinking it's going to get better, it probably won't. Especially things like peripheral neuropathy or chronic digestive disorders. There's so many dead end streets, labyrinths out there on the internet where the next best thing is being advertised. And I'm going to tell you that when you deal with something like peripheral neuropathy, there isn't a one um, step solution. You're just going to make things progress. You need to be able to address the toxicity level. You need to be able to regrow the nerves, and we do that with biofeedback. You need to rebuild the blood supply with lasers, LED, and then bring your own stem cells there with the soft wave therapy machine. You need to detox the body with the appropriate detoxification in the right way where it doesn't stress the body out. There is no good 11-day cleanse that's going to be deep enough to make a difference. It's kind of like, if you spill red wine on your mom's white carpet while they're out of town, and the next morning you clean up that white wine on the cart or the red wine on the white carpet, within a week, it's going to show back up. And it's going to show back up until you get down underneath the carpet, replace the carpet pad, and clean it well enough. And that is a true detox. And until you do that, your body's still going to have chronic inflammation based on the heavy metals, the molds, the forever chemicals, the glyphosate that we've accumulated over a lifetime. And it is not a one and done. These people the other day were asking me, well, once we're done with the peripheral neuropathy, what do I do? I go, well, I'm sure you've had some major dental work done in your life. Every once in a while, somebody doesn't. You have to maintain it. You have to floss your teeth. You have to go in and get your teeth cleaned periodically. You get a new or used car. Usually the first thing you do is get the car gone through and tuned up and cleaned up, but you have to maintain it. Your body's the only vehicle that's going to take you all the way. So that one you want to take better care of than anything else you own. But people don't think about that. They ride that body into the ground, and then when it breaks down, they don't know what to do about it, or it's too late. So my whole goal on being on the radio is to reach out and get people to do something before it's too late. We have an amazing staff. We just had a meeting today with Dr. Gringeri, a new doc, and he was just saying how much he appreciated our staff. I've known him since chiropractic school, actually. We've known each other for 40 years, and he's coming over to help. He lives over the hill, but he's an amazing, caring doctor, and he wants to help people. And I also have Dr. McLeod, an incredible guy, just full of energy. My staff, unbelievable. Magdalena at the front desk, Bell. Then we have Crystal. Bell helps with finances, insurance. Crystal helps with a laser. Ray and Lori help with the stem cell and lasers. Probably forgetting some people. Natalie's actually working on any kind of the promotions that you might get. But here's the thing. You may or may not need help, but you know somebody that does. So please tell them about our office. We never charge to sit down and talk to them. So many people have peripheral neuropathy. 25 million Americans have been diagnosed with it, which means probably another 50 million people have it and don't know because they're just getting that tinkling about it. They're not sure what it is, but you know, there's something that can be done about it, and that's the cool thing. And for us to see the changes on people when we do the peripheral neuropathy treatment with them, it's pretty cool. So I hope that you guys spread the word. Of course, we take care of headaches, amazing results with headaches, low back, sciatica. I wrote a book called New Hope for Sciatica. You can find it on Amazon. I wrote that about 6 years ago. My newer book is called Turn Back Your Biological Clock, and it goes through how to get the inflammation out of your body. You can find it on Amazon, Turn Back Your Biological Clock, Dr. Duncan McCollum. And you know, a lot of it is on my podcast and my web, McCollum Wellness. But you know, if you like this show, do me a favor and go to my YouTube, Dr. Duncan McCollum, and follow us. It really helps YouTube see who's watching us, and they will put out more feelers for our show because people are liking it. And so, you know, I think the more people can find out about natural health and what can be done, and the fact that the greatest physician who ever lived lives right inside of you, the better off we will all be. And you never know how far a small act of kindness might go. I got carried into my first chiropractor at 20 years old. I'd been flat on my back for 3 weeks. I couldn't move, couldn't get up, couldn't go to the bathroom. Nothing helped. No drugs that you would get your hands on back in the 20s when you were 20, back in the 70s for me. Nothing helped. But they picked me up, put me in my own pickup truck on a couch out of my own house, drove me down to by the river here in Santa Cruz to Dr. York's place, carried me in, held me up while he took an x-ray of me. He looked at the x-ray and put a finger on my low back and said, "When did you break your back?" I'd broken it years earlier as a kid. Nobody took an x-ray. Nobody believed me. I got addicted to pain-killing drugs because I listened to the Jefferson Airplane, and the drugs my mom was giving me and the doctor weren't helping. And the ones that the White Rabbit told me about at least made me forget about it. But same thing, you cover up a condition and it's not going to get better till you get it better. And that's my words for you. Call my office, 831-459-9990. And just say, hey, I want to come in for the Peripheral Neuropathy Workshop. And we'd be more than happy to have you there. 831-459-9990. Dr. Duncan McCollum, Santa Cruz Voice. Any of you watching on Facebook, please follow me on my YouTube channel, Dr. Duncan McCollum, and anything else you're supposed to follow me on. I don't know all this stuff. We're on TikTok. We're getting over 1,000 hits on TikTok these days for some of our videos going out. So if you like that, go tell people about it. Let's see what we can do to make a difference out there. And I've got just a couple seconds left. So I'm going to check out. Thank you all very much. And we'll see you next week.
Hello. And,
I think I did it.
okay,
Did I
just
hit
a
it?
sec here. Okay, stop.
I
Here,
did it.
stop. Okay, click on this. Okay, I'm here in the studio with Dr. D here, closing up the show now. This will down. Okay, mute. How do I mute?
Okay. Double click it.
Yeah.
There we go.
So it's, when you see that, it's still downloading.
Oh, it's downloading on
Yes,
here.
it's downloading.
Not blinking.
We still have to have our 2 hour meeting.